Okay, this is going to be a video on quadratic applications, both with some word problems, some regression. Also, we're going to do some systems, okay, algebraically, okay. So it says a Dud missile is fired straight up from military installation. The missile's height is given by that formula. What is the height of the missile after certain seconds? What time will they reach the maximum height? What is the maximum height? What is the maximum height that the missile will reach? When will the missile be at 2,500 feet? When will it be 100 feet? Now, before we get into that, I want you to understand something about the graph. Okay? All right? So, when you see one of these graphs, okay, we're talking about a quadratic. There's a couple parts that you need to understand. Okay? First of all, this is considered, when they're talking about max, that's what they're considering, okay? Now, the other part about it is when does the thing hit the ground? And this is where you have to have a little bit of analysis in this. This is considered the ground. Now, what you're going to want to look at is what is that furthest one to the ground, okay? All right, this is what they're referring to. This oftentimes is when that thing is shooting or moving, etc. Okay, all right. Now, also you have to have an idea, okay, that we're taking time as x and height as y. Okay, so as you do these, you got to have that idea. So when I put this into the calculator, I'm going to put this in as x, and x will be time. Okay, so I'm going to go to menu. Okay. I'm going to go to graph, okay? I'm going to type in -16. I'm going to use this x. Don't use this, and don't use the multiplication. This one, x squared plus 400, x plus 100. All right, that hit execute, okay? All right, let's see if I can open that back up because that is really a pain. Yeah, that's better. All right, hold on. Let me go back to the graph. Okay, -16x squared plus 400x, all right, plus 100. All right, draw. Now, you may get all kinds of weird screens. A couple things you may want to do. Hit F3 twice, exit, then draw. If you still don't see anything, hit zoom, auto, and then hit zoom out, execute, zoom out, execute. And now you can see the graph. So zoom auto oftentimes will happen. How high is the missile after 4.5 seconds? So when I'm doing problem A, okay, 4.5 is the x, I gotta find the y. So here's what's convenient. If I go to G-solve and scroll over, I wanna calculate y, I put in 4.5, and it tells me 1576, okay? Part B, what is the time when the missile reaches max height? So I'm gonna do G-solve max, okay? All right, what time? So remember, time is x, so 12.5 would be considered that. What is the maximum height the missile will reach? Well, the height is the y, that's 2,600. Okay? Part D, when will the missile be 2,500 feet above the ground? Well, 2,500 feet is the y, so we got to calculate the x. So G-solve xcal, and I put that 2,500 in. Okay, and then it's going to be 10. All right, when will the missile be 100 feet above the ground? So once again, okay, that's going to be 100, and I'm going to calculate the x, okay? So G-solve x calculate, and I'm going to put in 100, okay? And that's going to be 0 in this case, okay? All right, that would be 0, all right? Okay, if they asked, let me go back to this previous question, even though they didn't ask it, they said, when will it hit the ground, okay? Let's say that was part F. When will it hit the ground? Okay, when? All right, so what does that mean for me? Okay, you can do this a couple of different ways. Well, if the height is y, the question I'd want to know is, when is it going to be 0? Okay, all right. So G solve, X calculate. When is the Y 0? All right, well, obviously it's not going to be at that -1. If I click over there, that's going to be 25.2 seconds. Okay, so you can do it that way. You can also do it as G solve and then root, because that's where it crosses the x-axis. Either way is fine. Okay, let's do another one. It says a football is thrown upward with an initial height of 80 feet. All right, here's the equation. What is the height of the ball? All right, so I'm going to go in. Let's retype this. -16 x squared plus 64x. Whoops, that's 6x. 64x plus 80. Okay, all right. Draw. All right, I'm going to hit F3 twice. Exit draw. Doesn't look great. Zoom auto. Now I'm going to zoom out, execute. Okay, and that probably is all I want to do. Okay, all right. Now, once again, time is X, height is Y. Okay, so it says, what is the height of the ball after 1 second? So what does that mean? 1 for there. I want to do a Y cal. G solve, Y calculate, and I put 1 in for X, and it tells me 128 feet. Okay, what is the max height? Okay, of the football. Okay, all right. So G solve max. Okay, so at 2 seconds, it's 144. So it's 144 feet. How long will it take the ball to hit the ground? Okay, so once again, ground would be considered 0. Okay, so G solve X cal. I'm going to put Y as 0. Now, obviously, it's not at -1. If I hit over, it would be at 5. So 5 seconds. Okay, all right. And so that's how you configure those things. Okay, all right. Okay, I think that's the one I want you to try. Okay, so what I want you guys to do is I want you guys to go ahead and try this one on your own. Okay, now we're going to go into regression. Okay, quadratic curve. Okay, all right. So what I want to do is understand that this would be X and this would be Y. Okay, so what I want to do is go into menu and stat. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put the data in. 0, 0.5, okay, 1, 1.5, okay, 2, 2.5, 3 and 4. Okay, I'm going to put the Y values in. Okay, all right. So I'm going to put in 7, okay, 21, 60, 150, 225, 1, I think that's a 175. Okay, make that 175, 225. 7530. Okay, now once I get that in, what I want to do is press calculate, which is F2, regression, and since they told me it's a quad, I'm going to select this one. Okay, now I don't ask this in these questions, but if I were to write the equation, what I want to do is I got Y equals, okay, negative 40.359 x squared, because that's the number for x, plus 172, sorry, 0.794 x minus 24.822. Okay, all right. So the idea is this A goes there, this B goes there, this C goes there. Okay, so that would be the equation. Now, what I want to do, I don't want to rewrite that equation. I'm going to hit copy, which is F6, and then I'm going to hit execute. And what happens is magically, if I go over to the graph area, watch what happens. It has taken my equation and put it there. Now, the key thing I got to do is hit select, okay? Because if I don't hit select and I hit draw, I'll get this error. So I got to hit select, draw, okay? And it's already zoomed nicely for me, okay? All right, when will the ball reach a height of 0? Once again, all right, we got time is x, height is y, okay? So that means it's gonna be 0, okay? So G solve, I'm gonna do an x calculate, I'm gonna put 0 in, okay? All right, no, I'm sorry. G solve, I'm gonna do x cal and put a 0 for y, sorry. Now, 0.14, all right? How long will it take the ball to reach the height? Well, if you think about it, that's probably not relative there, but if I hit over here, that's 4.13, okay? So remember, as the projectile goes up, okay, when will the height be at 3.5 seconds? All right, well, this is 3.5, so I want to calculate the y, okay? So G solve y cal, and I want to put in 3.5, okay? That would be 85.555. I think there's a 0 after that. And I don't think there's any other answers. All right, so that's how you would do a regression. Okay, let's do another one. Okay, let's say this is the cost of gas, months. Okay, so I go to menu and stat. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and delete these things. Okay, so I put in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Type these numbers in, okay? 3.50, 3.25, 2.79, make sure it's a 7, okay? 2.60, 2.71, 3.18, okay? Once again, I would go to calc and I would select regression and I would select x squared. Okay, now if I was making the equation, that'd be y equals 0.105 x squared, just write 3 decimal places, minus 0.32 x plus 1.326. That would be the equation, okay? Now it says how much will gas be in month 10? Well, month is x, so I want to calculate y, all right? So I'm gonna hit copy, F6, execute, that magically moved everything over. Menu and graph, make sure you hit select, okay? Draw, okay? I don't see it. I'm gonna hit zoom on, see if that helps. Yep, so I'm gonna zoom out, execute, okay? Zoom out, execute, okay? So I wanna do a y calculate. G solve a y cal, and I'm gonna put in 10, okay? And that's gonna be 6.50, okay? When will gas be $4? Well, $4 would be the y, so I'm going to do an x cal. Okay, so at 0.43 months, that's probably not really relative, okay, or makes a whole lot of sense, but I do that at 7.51 months. That's probably a better answer, okay, because you're not going to start below that. All right, I think that's it. All right, so you guys go ahead and try this one for the price of lumber. Okay. All right, now let's get into the last part of this, which is quadratic systems. Okay, if you're solving a system, very simple. Since these are both y equals, I can set them equal to each other. Okay, and then I'm going to move this stuff back. Okay, so that's going to be 0 on this side, x squared minus 2x, still minus 3. I move that back over, that's minus 2x. I move this back over, it's positive 3. Okay, now if I go to combine those, all right, that would be x squared minus 4x, okay, all right, negative 3 plus 3 would be 0, so that's what I would have for that. Now, in my opinion, it's probably easiest to factor this. You can use any method that you want, okay? So what I would do is I would just take out an x, that's going to be x minus 4, and then I solve those. X equals 0, x minus 4 equals 0. Well, this is x equals 4, that's already 0. Now, so what I want to do is I want to substitute this back in to help me calculate. 2 times 0 minus 3, that would be 0 minus 3, which would be negative 3. Okay, so for 0, that would be the answer. I would take 4, put that in there. 2 times 4 minus 3, that's 8 minus 3, which is 5. Okay, so my answers there are 4 and 5. So we did these graphically, but now that's how you would solve it algebraically. Okay, let's say I have something like this. I would set this equal. Okay, all right, now in this case, I would subtract the 5 over. So I got 0 equals negative x plus 5 squared. Okay, all right, now if I go to combine these, that's going to be 0. All right, so probably the easiest way to do this is solve by square roots, in my opinion. Okay, so what I would have to do is I would divide both sides by negative 1. So I got 0 equals x plus 2 squared. I would take the square root of this, plus and minus. Square root of this, plus and minus. Well, square root of 0 is 0. Okay, this is going to be x plus 2. So I solve this. This is minus 2. Okay, so 0 minus 2 would be negative 2 for x. Okay, and then so that would be my x coordinate. Well, what's convenient about here is they're telling me y is 5. So I'm done. Okay, all right, that's how simple that one is. All right, so you got to use your methods to figure out how to solve those. Okay, all right. Okay, so use whichever method makes sense. In my opinion, if you got this squared thing, you should probably solve by square roots, like almost the back end of completing the square. Why? Because it's easier just to get that stuff over and solve that way. Okay? All right? So go ahead and work on these two. All right, and let's do a couple more. Now these are quadratic and quadratic. Now once again, I'm going to set this up. 2x squared plus 5x minus 3 equals x squared plus 3x minus 4. Now, in my opinion, I would move stuff back to the bigger squared. Okay, so I would move this back over, move this back over, move this back over. Okay, so that's going to be 2x squared minus x squared, 5x minus 3x, negative 3 plus 4 equals 0. Okay, well that's going to be x squared. That and that would combine to 2x. That and that would combine to 1. So I get this. Okay, well I would solve that by factoring. All right, and the way I would do that, 1 times 1 obviously is 1. Okay, factors of 1 are 1 and 1. I got x squared plus 1x plus 1x plus 1. So that's x times x is x times 1 is 1, x times 1 is 1. So what's those? So if I solve those, I get x equals negative 1. Okay, now what should I do? I should go ahead and substitute this back in and go ahead and make a calculation to figure out what that y value is going to be. Well, negative 1 squared plus 3 times negative 1 minus 4. Well, negative 1 squared is 1. 3 times negative 1 is negative 3 minus 4. 1 minus 3 is negative 2. Minus 4 would be negative 6. So that would be the solution, algebraic solution. And then here's the last one that we're going to do. Okay, so with this one, I would have to do negative 2x squared plus 9x minus 7 equals x squared minus 6x plus 5. Now, in my opinion, I would move this back over. Okay, all right, so I got x squared plus 2x squared. Then I got negative 6x. I would move over this 9. It would become minus 9x. I'd move over the negative 7. Okay, so that would become positive 7. So what I got here is I got 3x squared minus 15x plus 12. Okay, now what I would do, I recommend trying to do in this case, okay, is see if you could factor it. Okay, all right, well, if I went to go factor it, all right, I'd take out the 3. That's x squared minus 5x plus 4. Okay, all right, so if I go to factor, 1 times 4 is 4. What are the factors of 4? Now, since there's negatives, I got that. That would have to be 1 and 4 to add up to negative 5. Okay, so I got x squared, okay, minus 1x minus 4x plus 4. Okay, the GCF of this is x times this, x times negative 4 would give me that, x times negative 1 would give me that. So here are the factors. Okay, now, if I go to solve those, well, 3 can't equal 0, that's no good. X minus 1 equaling 0 would be x equals 1. X minus 4 equaling 0, that'd be x equals 4. Okay, so I got to find the solutions where x is 1, x is 4. So I take the 1, okay, I'm going to put that back into there, okay? So 1 squared minus 6 times 1 plus 5. 1 squared is 1, minus 6 times 1 is minus 6 plus 5. 1 minus 6 is negative 5, plus 5 would be 0. That would be one solution. Then I would take 4 and do the same thing, okay? 4 squared minus 6 times 4 plus 5. Well, 4 squared is 16. minus 6 times 4 would be 24 plus 5. Okay? 6 minus 24 is negative 8, plus 5 would be negative 3. Okay? And so those would be the solutions there. And what you can do is go ahead and try these two on your own, and that is the end of the quadratics unit.